there's a time in everyone's life when you need to know the planets of the solar system in which we live. And that's a very brief time for most people, except for if you're a certain type of astronomer, in which case it's your whole life. So that's that. Now, when I needed to know them, there were 9 planets, but as is well known by pretty much everyone, and if you didn't know this, then now you're going to know, one of the planets got demoted. It was Pluto. It got demoted to being called a dwarf planet because right now there are 9 known dwarf planets, of which Pluto is one. All of them are outside of the 8th and final planet, Neptune, except for one, Ceres, which is between Mars and Jupiter. On today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, we're going to learn to explore our own work-life solar system. So people talk about ecosystems, business ecosystems, but I don't think a lot of people talk about work-life and business solar systems. But today on Life's Potluck Buffet, we're going to create a whole framework for thinking about work-life solar systems. So you heard it here first. Oh, by the way, I'm John Paulus. Thanks for joining me today. I have 8 cards to draw, so I'm going to get right to it. And I think I'm going to draw them all in a row. So once I do the 3 casual shuffles, the formal shuffle, and then cut the deck, where I cut the deck, I'm just going to draw 8 cards from the top right there. Otherwise, this episode would be an hour long. So, do you think that I was looking into the solar system, researching for this episode, and I saw that the solar system is 4.568 billion years old. My goal, and on tomorrow's episode, I'm gonna answer this question, is to see if right now there is a video with 4.568 billion views. You know that I could predict that it's 99% chance of it being a music video. Basically, you have, as I've said in many episodes, if you want to have multiple billion views on YouTube, absolutely only possibility, music video, period. Done. That's it. There's one video that is a animated video that has multiple billion views, but again, that's an outlier. That's the exception that proves the rule. If you're going to have multiple billion views, you need to be a music video. So this video will never have 4.568 billion views. I am going to be happy with 4.568 views, period. Okay, and whoever gives me the 0.568 view, definitely let me know, and let's talk about how this happened. Okay, so our first card is going to represent Mercury in our new work-life solar system. And I'll do the 3 casual shuffles and then the grand shuffle. Again, I'm going to do the first 8 cards that come up in the deck, because otherwise we'd be here all day. Okay, now I'm looking for the place to cut the deck, and I see that it's actually right here. It's in between a couple of cards. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. It's card 23. The future is just the present with more flying. Okay, so that is going to represent Mercury, card 23. Second card, find out how you act when things go awry. That is going to represent Venus, card 48. It's only desperation if you have no actual strategy. That is going to be our Earth card, card 19. All right, there's card 25. We are all good ones. That is going to be for Mars. Card 21, you already have the big answers. That is going to be for Jupiter. Saturn is going to be card 33, Call on a Friend. And Saturn is the planet featured in today's thumbnail with some gumballs because we're going for magical realism. Remember that? So that's why there's a star that says 25 cents on it. It's like where you put the quarter in. Card 33, Call on a Friend. That was for Saturn. Uranus, card 30, use righteous anger to find your mission. And finally, Neptune, say I am rather than I could be. So those are our 8 cards. Oh, and I feel like I shouldn't leave Pluto out. I'm going to choose one for Pluto in honor of Pluto's demotion because Pluto did not deserve that. Oh, of course, it's card 38. You are what you hate, which okay. I'm card 38 because that's what I hate. Okay. I've gotten that card so many times recently. And I've been thinking about a deck, so thank you. The deck was like, oh, you know what? Guess what? Pick a 9th card, see which one it is. Yeah, well, thank God it wasn't Passions Are for Hobbies. That's probably the next card in the deck, So, okay. I'm not even going to go there. All right. Let's start with Neptune. Say I am rather than I could be. When you're considering a work identity, make it a goal to say convincingly and calmly to yourself and others, I am X, or I do X, rather than I could be X, and I could do X. So that is, Neptune is all about turning possibility into reality. So that's part of our work-life solar system, is moving from possibility to realities, making possibilities realities. That sounds like a tagline for something. Who knows what? All right. So the second concept, that's Uranus. Use righteous anger to find your mission. It's hard to get righteously angry about something you do not care deeply about. So use that anger to find what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it, and who else is involved in the work that you need to do. So, using righteous anger to find your mission, that is a wonderful part of our work-life solar system. Taking strong emotions and using them to your advantage rather than using them as obstacles. All right, so that's number 2. Okay, now, the next card, Saturn, card 33, Call on a Friend. So this card is all about finding out what others perceive your strengths to be. So this is the third thing in our work-life ecosystem, is in terms of strengths. Think about what others think your strengths are. That's something that we don't often think about because we get too focused on what do I think my strengths are. But it's very helpful, as time and time again, hundreds of people that I have worked with have found it helpful to find out what others perceive their strengths to be, because as one of our cards in the deck says, others are always doing the hiring, no matter what you do, whether it's a business, a job, a volunteer work, a hobby. The role of others in perceiving your strengths is central. So that's card 33. Our next card, which I think is Jupiter, is you already have the big answers. Oh, that's fitting because I think Jupiter is the largest planet, right? So that's a really good card. It's card 21. You already have the big answers. So this is about Jupiter thinking. This is about the largest planet. Even though you don't think you have the big answers right now, you have them. You just need to get in touch with them. And sometimes, as card 33 talked about, having others to talk to is the way that happens. In fact, that's the only way that happens sometimes, because sometimes we get stuck in our own thinking and need others to help get us out. It's like your car is stuck in the mud and you need to get it out, or stuck in snow and ice, and you need to have people help you get it out. It's that same thing, right? Someone needs to be at the wheel, and then someone else needs to be in the back, either pushing or putting something on the tires, doing something to get the car out. So that is, you already have the big answers. And if a little trying doesn't help you, talk to someone and you will find out the big answers fast. Okay. Card 25 is the next card, and that's Mars. We are all good ones. This card is about the bad side effects of self-judgment, because if you start judging yourself, you're going to harshly judge others too. You harshly judge yourself, you'll harshly judge others. So think of a situation where that happened, and think of how it would happen if you weren't judging harshly. Start with not judging harshly another person, and then understand that that's coming from harsh judgment of ourselves, and that's where that comes from. Okay, so that's we're all good ones. Card 25, that's Mars. Oh, that's kind of fitting because it's all about Mars and war and judgment and harshness. Okay, that's good. This is working out well. Earth, our down to earth card is something that is absolutely down to earth. It's only desperation if you have no actual strategy. Start with a plan. Desperation is about dart throwing. Plans are about seeing where the darts landed. I'll say that again. Desperation is about dart throwing, and it's just about the throwing of darts. The plan is to see where those darts landed, because it's okay to throw darts. But when you're done throwing them, it's time to have a plan about what you just threw. So, dart throwing, desperation, seeing where the darts landed, and making a plan around that, that's a strategy. Okay. Oh, also watch the video where the difference between a plan and a strategy in terms of business thinking. That's one of our videos from last year. Check that out and on our YouTube channel, because that's a really good video. And there's a link to another video there. That's a good review. Okay, so that's down to earth thinking for Earth. Now we're at Venus. Find out how you act when things go awry. Think about when you were in an emergency situation and it involved you doing something. Because when, as we say in American English, the chips are down, that's when you find out a lot about yourself and what your priorities are. So remember to have reference to that harsh judgment card, and don't have harsh judgments of yourself if you feel like, oh, this emergency situation happened and I did something, I should have done something else. Forget about that part, but try to understand why you did that, and you'll know what your kind of instinctual priorities are, and you can, in the future, act the same or differently depending on how you feel like you wanted to act. All right. And then finally, Mercury, which is our closest planet to the sun, and it is the future is just the present with more flying. This is to understand that future that you have in your work and your life, it doesn't yet exist. Right now, the best we can do, if we want to think about the future, is to understand where we tend to just superimpose the present onto a future and add elements like flying and so forth. That's been in the past 150 years. That is the way that the future gets represented, as just basically a version of the present with more flying. So if you understand that, then you could understand that when you're thinking about the future and it seems to be a repetition of the present with more flying, you can say, well, what am I really trying to say here? I'm going to get rid of the flying part, and I'm just going to focus on the part that's telling me where my priorities are right now. And understand that when you think about the future, that you are just thinking about the present, which is very, very helpful. It's just a different present from the one that you usually think about. And that tells us about where our priorities are. So a lot of these cards were about our priorities. A lot of these cards are about understanding from others and helping with our priorities and learning our priorities by understanding how others see our strengths, how others view us in that regard. And then finally, not viewing others and ourselves in harsh judgment, but with care and love. That is the third theme, and always the most important theme, of life's potluck buffet.